Hi, Dave Travis. I'm back with Dino Rizzo. We've already heard in the first two segments a little bit about kind of Dino's and Delenn's planting of Healing Place Church, and then the dramatic consequences of burnout, exhaustion, of failings in 2012. But that's not the end of the story, is it, Dino?
No, it's not.
Because a group of leaders came around you and said, we still believe that God has a future for you and your family. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, when we just immediately, I know from my own heart, I immediately realized my sin, my failure, immediately repented and just said, oh, God, this is not the way I want to live, abusing my soul and my spirit, my family, making poor choices. So it was quick to be able to just say, I'm wrong. I need help. I've made bad decisions, and I have not had boundaries, and I have wasted something precious, and I need help. And so, thank God for some leaders who came in about a month or two into the process. Delenn and I immediately stepped down. I didn't have any communication, no technology at all for about 3 months, and just rested. Got involved with a great counseling group out of Ohio called Emerge. Got a coach in my life, immediately began to do counseling, saw a physical doctor, sat with some spiritual men and processed and repented and walked through not just, that period of time, but really a lifestyle of abusing the gift that God had put on my life with speed and not resting and not sleeping and not pausing, not being transparent. Dave, I was the kind of guy that went 95% with everybody. I just wasn't going to go 100%. I protected, I guarded. So I began to learn those tools during that process. And then guys like Chris Hodges, John Siebling, Stovall Weems, Rob Kettling, Robert Morse, Craig Groeschel, Stephen Furtick, men like that came into my life and just got around me and began to say, listen, we're going to believe for Romans 8:28. Robert Morse looked at me and said, hey, listen, you submit and you do exactly what your spiritual accountability to do, and the blessing of God will come in your life. I decided that day, about 6 weeks into it, that I was going to do exactly what I was told, that I was in no place to make my own decisions. And I felt like, and hopefully these guys would attest to that I did totally submit, Delenne and I. And we took a year for counseling, a year out of ministry. And I spent hundreds of hours with spiritual men, pastors that sowed into me. I was able to process and then able to learn kind of new ways to handle life and to think about what could be next. So I would not be here today if it wasn't for the body of Christ who responded, and especially Pastor Chris Hodges, Dave, to be honest with you. He came in and stood by us and covered us and just refused to accept defeat for our life. And I just thank God for him.
Yeah, and you, Chris, eventually, over time, brought you to Birmingham, right, to help out and to have some role. Can you talk about that for just a minute?
Yeah, matter of fact, it was Easter of 2013. We came here for Easter services. And so that was about, 10 months into the process. And he looked at me that Easter and said, why don't you move here? I'd love to have you a part of our team. And so I began in that May to make that transition, began driving up here in June and July in Birmingham to be a part of Church of the Highlands. And not only was able to be a part of that, but then I was able to jump right into ARC and begin to serve. And so we completed the first year and entered our second year of restoration in August. And so we're in that process now as it's coming into summer. And so it's been amazing being part of Church of the Highlands. I feel like, Dave, I've been at Harvard. I loved big pastoring Healing Place for 20 years, loved planning that church, and Healing Place continues to flourish.
Yeah.
And, but being here the last 10 months, I feel like I've been on a crash course of systems and processes and health. And Chris Hodges is a great leader. Pastor Chris is an amazing leader.
That's great. Okay, thanks, Dino. That's the end of our third segment. In our next segment, we're going to talk about some lessons learned that all of us can learn based on Pastor Dino's experiences here. So join us for our fourth segment coming up.